Well, hello everyone once more and welcome to Bear News as we take a look at a rather historic purchase by Microsoft, as Microsoft purchases Activision Blizzard. Now what makes this so important, besides the facts of the companies and the games which we will get to soon, is the fact that this was a $68.7 billion acquisition, making it Microsoft's largest ever, and also it was done in cash. Just let that sink in for a minute, because that is just an insane amount of money. Taking a look over at the Washington Post, we can see that during a blog post on Tuesday, Microsoft announced that it would acquire the video game publisher behind hit franchises such as Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and Candy Crush. Such a weird list. And what's really interesting about this deal is that it actually comes on the back foot of so much PR beating that has occurred against Activision Blizzard following the allegations, accusations, and lawsuits surrounding sexual harassment and discrimination within the workplace. And if you're interested in learning a little more about that history, I'll put a link to the video I did when this was all first brought to bear. And what brings this up is that in the Washington Post, they are suggesting this increases the risk for Microsoft's acquisition. However, I am willing to bet money on the fact these allegations, these lawsuits, and the public consideration of Activision Blizzard has actually worked in Microsoft's favor quite a bit here, just lowering that price, and will allow Microsoft to do this with a much better PR placement, considering the fact that essentially if they clean up shop, if being a rather large part of that statement, then they are going to be able to set themselves up very nicely in making this very large acquisition go over a little bit sweeter. We do have suggestions that this acquisition will lead to scrutinization by regulators. Now, given the sheer size of Microsoft, they no doubt have 101 dedicated members of staff purely looking into this acquisition, no doubt as well on Activision Blizzard's side, to ensure everything goes over okay and is just enough in the lines of the law to get away with it, because that's how companies work and it's a much better way to live. Now, the reason I bring this up is actually because with the video game industry increasing its revenue year in, year out, particularly over the last few years owing to the strange situation occurring in the world right now, this is the wording you use on YouTube. The video game industry has actually overtaken many other forms of the entertainment industry and has done so for a good few years now, even prior to the current circumstance. And as such, in the world of entertainment, gaming is going to begin to fall even more and more under the scrutiny of larger political bodies, something we've already seen with loot boxes, considerations of gambling, hopefully NFTs, and of course with the merging and acquisition of different companies. And what's been so interesting about this, turning back to our previous news on the ownership of games, we do have Xbox Game Pass, and we have the announcement of many of the Activision games being brought over onto it. Now, until this transaction is completely finished, Activision Blizzard and Microsoft will continue to operate independently, so this will not be until the future. Microsoft has made the statement, upon close, we will offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can within Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, both new titles and games from Activision Blizzard's incredible catalog. Also announced today that Game Pass now has more than 25 million subscribers, and as always, they look forward to continuing to add more value and more great games to Game Pass. With bringing more and more things over to Game Pass, it's actually going to be great to see how this affects the indie gaming market, as since we have seen that consumers nowadays are rather preferring the quantity and options and brevity of choice over deep, quality, meaningful games. At least through this, we'll see more and more indie developers bringing their games over onto Game Pass and hitting a broader audience, especially since, as stated before, we have that easier point of entry where you're paying a monthly fee to gain access to a huge library of games. Since Game Pass is basically becoming the gaming version of Netflix, I guess good luck to them. Taking a look over at the Game Pass, we have the Ultimate $14.99 as well as some separated PC and console $9.99 per month deals. But there are also notable things such as EA Play being included depending on which style of subscription you are following. And what this does for Microsoft is really improve that value for money when it comes to their Game Pass system. And, more importantly, draws even further into question just what will happen in regards to Sony's Spartacus project. As of now, when purchasing a brand new game, many of them are starting to reach into the $60, $70 mark, a very large amount of money to spend on any new game, particularly if it's a new IP. You have no way of knowing if this will be any good, and that's a lot of money to drop on a new game you're unsure of. No doubt is the reason why so many games are being remade and remastered, because they're far more enticing to players when they're going to fork out for that very large amount of money. At least they know the game is good, it's simply been updated and improved, or at least that's the hope. But the point is, by having a $9.99 per month subscription, let's imagine we're just going on PC, or heck, even a $14.99 per month if we're going for the ultimate, you're gaining access to millions of games, all of which is for free. You can jump in, jump out. If it's rubbish, it doesn't matter. And if they're good ones, you know you're going to play. Jobs are good and you've got your money's worth. Particularly considering that Xbox has begun releasing their titles onto Game Pass from day one. Just drawing on two clear examples, we have Halo being released straight away, or importantly for me at least, Total War Warhammer 3 being released on day one on Game Pass. All you're getting is access immediately to a rather expensive game with the option then later on of buying it yourself should you want it, or simply continuing to use the subscription service and gaining that access to it along with a myriad of other games. Sony doesn't have that, at least for now. Currently, you have to spend $60, $70 to buy a brand new game and hope it's okay. So whereas the rumors and speculations of Spartacus seemed just that, a reasonable rumor and speculation, honestly with this acquisition, I think they're going to be kicking it into overdrive to ensure that Sony PlayStation has their own offering that people can buy a subscription, gain access to their brand new games and enjoy them from day one without having to fork up a large amount of money for the questionable results. And with the introduction of more and more PlayStation exclusives onto PC, I will be very interested to see just how Sony splits up that subscription system. Will we see something similar to Microsoft with a PC and console base? Something I can't see being as effective considering that Sony does not have enough PC titles really to justify it, at least as far as I'm concerned. But if they lump it together, will they have to raise the price to $14.99, which will not be as competitive, particularly considering the majority of players no doubt will acquire it for their console releases, at least given the current state of PlayStation exclusives that have made it onto PC. Perhaps in time when more and more of those games make their way over, as the Sony devs are hoping, but shifting back to Activision Blizzard, Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, has said, once the deal is complete, the Activision Blizzard business will report to me as CEO. Microsoft Gaming. Now, during all of the allegations surrounding Activision Blizzard and the conduct of its staff members, and the potential knowledge of higher management regarding this, there was a lot of call for the resignation of Kotick. As CEO, Kotick is likely going to make a huge amount of money from this. Even if he is removed, they're probably not going to care. The fact that they had maintained their position throughout these allegations, and given the sheer length of time required for these sort of business deals to go ahead, it truly does draw into question the reasons why they remained in charge and whether or not it had a lot to do with this deal. But just what effect will this have on the games themselves? Xbox gaming development, Microsoft gaming development that is, doing pretty well in terms of actually engaging with the customer base, engaging with gamers, and really taking to heart what's being said. Now, I'm of course saying this with a pinch of salt, but we do see it in terms of Halo. Following the reaction of the community towards 343's store prices, the team proceeded to then lower these prices. And taking a look over at Gaming Intel, that all of this came about because 343 was gathering the feedback from the community and reacting in accordance with them, adjusting their microtransactions to more fit in line with what gamers wanted. Well, for today, let's shuffle on from the fact that this game is now free to play and there are microtransactions in it. At least we can see that the business aspects of the game are not getting in the way and harming the actual community surrounding it. Whereas from Activision Blizzard, we've known for a long time that basically they're there to rinse your money as much as possible. After all, we do all have phones. So perhaps with this acquisition, we'll see a bit of a change in the culture surrounding gaming development within Activision Blizzard, and considering the current state it's in, theoretically, it can't get much worse than it is now, so that can only be a good thing. And I really don't want to have to regret those words. And we have already seen a marked increase in the stock of Activision Blizzard going up 25% in response to the acquisition. The shift in management and the, no doubt, I hope, dramatic changes that Microsoft will bring in will undoubtedly further this, which for the future, we definitely cross our fingers be a good thing as far as the employees go, but for business, well, it will likely see Microsoft's pockets grow even larger. But in moving to the words of Phil Spencer, we can see the exact statement of Xbox. Creators of Call of Duty, Warcraft, Candy Crush, Tony Hawk, Diablo, Overwatch, Spyro, Hearthstone, Guitar Hero, Crash Bandicoot, StarCraft, and more have joined Xbox. Yes, the sheer quantity of titles being brought over, and a bit of a hard pill to swallow for Sony given Crash Bandicoot's initial success back on the PlayStation. Microsoft is definitely setting themselves out to be one of the biggest providers of games in the world. And though the majority of those games I really could not care less about, the prospect of a new Tony Hawk game, and definitely the upcoming Diablo 4, will be ones to keep an eye out for with this acquisition, as undoubtedly, with a change of management, there's going to be some shuffling around of staff. But I digress. Within the statement, we get to see a breakdown of some of the publishers and developers that will be coming over with this deal, and the continued talk of cloud-based gaming, allowing more people in more places around the world to participate in the Xbox community using phones, tablets, laptops, and other devices you already own. With the statement that Activision Blizzard games are enjoyed on a variety of platforms, and that Xbox plans to continue support to those communities moving forward. And I completely forgot Microsoft has their own phone. And I'd just like to leave on a bit of a hilarity, if I'm absolutely honest, that during the Activision Blizzard publisher sale, you will be able to save up to 80% off Activision Blizzard titles. I actually can't take that seriously. It's turning a multi-billion-dollar business venture, turning it into an excuse to have a sale on games. This is the most corporate business decision I have ever seen, and I love it. With all this going on, the deal is looking to close around June of next year. So do keep an eye out as things go on, particularly as we may have more of those sales coming forward. I love this rubbish. So at the end of that, we have news that Activision Blizzard has been bought up by Microsoft, hopefully giving a bit of a kick up the ass to Sony to get in gear and start bringing more games over to PC, and maybe bring out Spartacus and more subscription-based games. Once more, I suppose I'm left to ask, what do you guys think of subscription-based services for your access to games? I'm just gonna have to make a whole video on that, aren't I? But Sony definitely been put into a position where they will need to be making some more announcements soon. Either way, that's been the news for now, and I apologize this video is a little more limited than usual, but this one came out pretty darn quick. So until next time, as always, peace out.